everyone. We are the matriarchs of Fandom, and we are here today with Lady Gray, Catalia, Miss Ann, and Miss Liz, and we're going to talk about favorite fandom couples. Um, some of the people that I have on my list are, hey, Taco Cat, how you doing? Not necessarily like my favorite ones, but these are some of the popular ones that, hey, Mark, that I research and not really research, but I thought of, and I figure we can talk about it. Then I can ask everyone about a couple of their favorite ones. Usually, how I like to start. Hey, team leader. Usually, how I like to start is by just asking some questions. Just think about while we're talking about the topics here and these certain characters. Um, I would like to know what is your favorite one and why. Is there a couple that kind of tried too hard, so to speak? Were they able to support each other? Did they have a strong friendship or was it just love at first sight? Did they have a problem that they had to face to overcome to show their true love for each other? And what point do you think they realized they were in love? Since it's still February, Lady Gray came up with this great topic, and we're going to go through it today. One of the ones that I thought about is Superman and Lois slash Clark and Lois. I personally think that even though Lois is a part of both couples, their relationships was a little bit different. So I would like to ask Lady Gray first. Superman Lois slash Clark and Lois. Tell us about what you think about them.
And I like the fact that she was feisty and strong spirited. I think that's what he needed. I did think always think it was kind of crazy when I would watch like the old TV shows. Maybe not so much the movies, but he puts on glasses and suddenly she doesn't recognize him. I always just was like, completely changed my face, not. So I always thought that part was a little bit silly, but I just thought they were cute together still.
Well, who do you think was cuter together, Superman and Lois or Clark and Lois?
Um, I guess Superman and Lois. Though Clark was so cute in the fact that he was fumbling around trying to look like a nerd when he so obviously wasn't.
Okay. True. And what about you?
I really think that couple was a product of the time that they were invented. Like Lady Gray said, first of all, the glasses. Yeah, okay. All of a sudden, I'm in disguise. But looking at them as a couple, it's really kind of a dated relationship. It was very much a product of the 40s and 50s, and really reinforced, traditional roles. And so I don't know that I don't know that I like it for that. And the fact that Clark and Superman, their relationship with Lois was so different. It was almost, Clark and Lois, it was almost like a brother and sister. Like he was the pesky little brother that just kept following her around everywhere. And then all of a sudden she's drooling over Superman.
Do you think that maybe one cheated on the other? I mean, here you have Lois who kind of had, feelings for both in different directions. And, Clark, Superman, their relationship, you know, that for me is a little weird. What do you think about that aspect?
I thought it was kind of bizarre too, because it does almost seem like she's, cheating on Clark with whose affection she never really returned. With Superman, it kind of lets him see both sides of her. And it paints her as shallow, though.
True that. True that. Miss Liz, what about you?
Well, depending on which Lois and Clark and whatnot we are talking about, uh, the TV series they had a pretty good relationship, Lois and Clark. Now, if we're gonna go Superman during the Superman movies, I totally agree. There's just no way. How in the world would he do? Put a magic spell on her as soon as he put the glasses on that she didn't know he was Clark and Superman? I mean, really. And but if we're gonna go with TV series, I think they actually had a reasonably pretty good relationship. I mean, as far as Lois and Clark, not Superman and Lois, and they did a pretty good job of um, doing a relationship with on Smallville. Yeah, they actually got to spend. Clark and Lois got to. And he had more than one girlfriend in that. So, and as far as cheating is concerned, no, I don't think either one of them were aware of seeing it that way because Superman was hiding his identity anyway. So, uh, but I actually liked it better when it was a Lois and Clark type of relationship than Superman and Lois because the Superman Lois one was a little bit one sided.
Yeah.
So
True. True. Okay. Okay. Katala.
Oh, I guess it is a product of the times, and they fit the couples in as they needed to be. I would think Lois usually got into a lot of trouble, and Clark would run off and come back as Superman. So that was always something funny that she didn't realize that Clark had left, and here's Superman. So
Okay. True. True. Okay. Another, at least for me, a famous and one of my favorite couples is, of course, Han and Leia. I think they were just, a cute little couple. Once they first met, that kind of, I love you, I don't want to be with you, but I love you. I think that was cute. And, if I was to think of one of my favorite couples, a couple that you want to hope that they made it last would be Han and Leia. Now, of course, we know what happens and, later on in the movies, but I just thought they were just a good, cute couple from pretty much from the beginning. Miss Anne, what did you think about them?
I loved Han and Leia from the beginning, and I actually thought their relationship and seeing them come back together after the years apart in the last three terrible movies was one of the only really redeeming points of those movies. Was the fact that you saw that they still, after all the water that had gone under the bridge, after all the things they had been through, even being separated, they still loved each other.
True, true. It was beautiful to see. Beautiful to see. Kind of sad that they had apparently those years of not being together, but it was pretty cool seeing that they still have that spark later on in life. Lady Gray?
Yeah, I think that was the thing about their relationship was even when they weren't together, if one of them needed the other, they were always there because at the end of the day they loved each other. And seeing them come back together and seeing that even through all the hardship, the love still existed. Um, and it's just the princess and the scoundrel is such a classic fairy tale trope. I mean, how can you not love it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Katala?
they were a good couple. They had something that lasted pretty well because they started off as friends first, and that was like an underlying. They knew they could depend on each other.
Mm-hmm. True, true. Okay. Miss Liz?
That one is my one of my particular favorites. You knew the minute she was shoving him out of the way in the hallway that and he's going, I'm beginning to like her. You knew things were going to progress, and I'm sorry that they had to go through. Things didn't work out as well as they wanted to. But as Anne says, they still loved each other, and they still came for each other, and I just wish they'd had a little bit happier ending.
Yeah, true that, true that. All right. The other day, I think it was on TNT, and I was flipping the TV, and Pretty Woman was on, and I just sat there, and I missed maybe like the first 15 minutes of it, but I sat there and watched the whole movie from there. What do you think of Vivian and Edwards? When they first met, of course, she was, a girl of the night. He was rich. And of course, through the time of the movie, they were falling for each other. And by the end of the movie, he whispered away in the limousine. Miss Anne, what did you think about Vivian and Edward in Pretty Woman?
Well, of course, I loved the movie. Everyone did, especially when it first came out, and I was, a much younger woman. It's a Cinderella story. I don't know if looking at the relationship from the point of my life that I'm in now, if I would say that that was a very healthy relationship. It was very codependent. I mean, she was dependent on him for pretty much everything in that movie. He rescued her, but I mean, it was still a delightful movie, and it was a nice fantasy.
Okay, okay. Miss Liz?
I totally agree with Anne. Cinderella story. Uh, he rescued her, and I don't know how much, whether it'll go anywhere or anything eventually. Uh, but at least it had a happy ending, kind of like Officer and a Gentleman. That one was kind of like a Cinderella story too. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't mind being whisked away by him
What you
either.
hear?
That would be kind of nice.
True that, true that.
Um, but yeah, that was a good movie. I really enjoyed it, and I watch it almost every time it's on.
Hmm.
So
Yep, that's what I did. That's what I did.
it's probably my favorite Julie Roberts movie. Period.
Agreed, agreed. Katala?
It's a more modern retelling of Pygmalion or My Fair Lady, it seems. They brought everything up to modern times, and it's a good story. It's quirky.
True that, true, true. And Miss Gray.
Well, kind of like Anne said, looking at it from an adult perspective at the age I am now, I realize that's kind of, I don't want to use the word toxic because that gets used a lot, but she came off the street. It's not, it romanticizes something that doesn't need to be romanticized. Um, but looking at it, through rose colored glasses as a much younger woman,
Okay,
maybe, I saw the Cinderella story in it. But
okay, okay. Another couple that I liked, I haven't seen this movie in a hot minute, was actually Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I thought, how they met when, both were spies and fell in love quickly, I guess, got married, but over the years, and I think it was about 4 or 5 years, I think it was. Movie or TV? Are you talking about Mr. and Mrs. Smith? When you asking movie or TV? Not sure. But over the yes. Okay. Um where over the years, I guess they became bored in their lives. And, once their spy selves, I guess, came out, they, kind of eventually found that spark again. What did y'all think about their relationship together? I'm gonna go with Katala first. Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Well,
The movie.
yeah, the movie.
Yes.
I would say danger heightens everything, so emotions are more intense. And once you survive a brush with death, then you're ready to kiss the one you're with and let all those emotions go running through both of you.
Okay. Okay. Miss Liz, I know you've seen this movie.
Oh, yeah, I've seen this movie. And I think it's a very unhealthy relationship. Extremely unhealthy relationship. And that's all I'm going to say about it.
Okay. Okay. Lady Gray?
I thought they were cute. I mean, to it's kind of like, if you're trying to keep your freak flag on the down low and you suddenly realize that the person you're with is just as crazy as you are, you know, you're kind of like, hey, I finally found my soulmate, my equal. And that was kind of how I saw it, that together they found their equal. And, she didn't need him to rescue her. So that was something I really appreciated. She could take care of herself. So I like the equality in their relationship as well.
Okay. Okay. Miss Ann?
It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. I really didn't care for the movie as a whole. And I thought the relationship, and it may have been the point I was in my relationship at the time, which was falling apart. I thought it was just, to use the word that Gray doesn't like because it's overused, it was a toxic marriage. You cannot build a marriage on lies and secrets and stay healthy. I mean, if anybody needed a therapist, it was those two.
True.
She got it right. Toxic.
Now, since we're actually talking about toxic or kind of unhealthy relationship, I kind of thought Sandy and Danny and Grease was a little bit unhealthy. They spend the whole movie trying to change themselves, I guess, for the other person. And, even though they had great songs in Grease, and, I've seen the movie many, many times, do I really want to change myself that much to get the guy or girl? I don't know. Katalia, what do you think about Grease and Danny and Sandy relationship in that movie?
I would say it's better to be yourself and be accepted for who and what you are than it is to try and morph yourself into something that you're not so you can catch somebody's eye.
Okay. There you go. There you go. Miss Liz?
Well, I am guilty. I never saw Grease. Never had any desire to see Grease. I did see Grease 2.
No.
I did see Grease 2, and I kind of liked that one because I liked the guy that was in it. But I never saw, I was never a big
the T-Bird
fan of the two people that were in Grease. I have heard the music many times, but I've never actually sat through the movie. So
Okay.
I can't tell you.
Well, the first Grease movie, in my opinion, is 100% better than the second one. So definitely give it a try. Give it a try. Miss Ann, Grease?
You got to remember, too, when you're looking at the characters of Danny and Sandy, they were high school kids. They were doing what high school kids do. High school kids are trying to fit in. They're trying to find where they fit in and who they fit in with. So I think if you look at it from that point of view, it was perfectly normal behavior. They would grow out of it eventually.
Well, do you think, let's say, 10 years later, do you think they were still together?
I would be surprised if they were still together 6 months later. They were high school kids.
Okay, okay. Miss Gray?
I agree with Anne. In high school, I mean, I realized on the surface the movie seemed like they were just trying to change to please each other, but I think in high school you have, and we'll probably get hate from the younger audience, but in high school you're still really trying to find yourself. You don't know who you are, so that was how I saw it. More was, they grew up with certain point of view and realized, oh, there's other points, other things out there, and it was more them exploring their world. Now, would they stay together 10 years from now? Probably not, though I do know some high school sweethearts that are still together 40 years later, so you never know.
Okay.
But
All right, all right. Let's talk about Jack and being on that door at the end of Titanic. You know, was there enough room? Did she just, okay, we had that relationship on the boat. Now you're in the water, it's over. Or was it more of, you found me, I found you, and my life is totally changed now because that we met? Great love story. I personally think she could have just moved over and he could have been on that boat, on that door, but and let's not even talk about her throwing that stupid necklace in the water. That's just horrible. But what do you think, Miss Anne, about Jack and Rose relationship in Titanic?
That's a tough one. You're out in the middle of the ocean, the waves are, around you, it's dark. I He may not have tried to get on the door because he was afraid he would knock her off, if he really loved her. I don't know. I think the relationship was sweet. It probably would not have lasted had they gotten to shore, on the other side. Because they were definitely two different social classes, and it was a time in this country and most of the Western world when that played a really big part in who you married. It was okay for a man to have a fling below his social class, but it was not for a woman.
Okay, okay. Miss Liz?
I always, when I watch that movie, I keep saying, why didn't she just let him, move over and save him? And Anne's right that when they docked in New York or wherever they were going to dock, that relationship would not have lasted because she was here and he was here as far as social classes were concerned, and it was basically a fling. I still think he could have survived if they had, if they wanted to write it that way. And I'm still mad to this day that she threw that diamond in the water.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
But Anne's right. That relationship would have never gone anywhere because of their social classes. It would not.
Okay. Okay. Katala?
Those times, social classes were everything. You didn't marry below your station. And if you did, you were probably ostracized to the furthest outreaches of the country and not welcome back. So there's that. And Dad probably could have managed to get up on the board with her, but I guess for dramatic effects, they let her go and keep the tragic romance going.
Okay. Okay. And Lady Gray?
y'all are all forgetting something. When she was rescued, she gave his last name, not hers. She threw away her social class. She made it on her own after that. So I don't know that social class I even plays much into it, because after, when she was rescued, she gave his name, not her rich name. As far as the world thought, she died. The rich socialite died. Now, as far as him getting on the raft, I know they've done tons of studies, and some studies say, "Oh, it would have tipped over," and other studies say, "Oh, he totally could have got on there." I don't know. I think kind of goes back to what you were saying. You know, it was dark, it was cold, the waves. It's hard to say if you weren't there, but
Okay.
I don't know. I thought they were cute together.
Okay. Okay. Agreed. Agreed.
Yep.
All right. I have a they could alternate. They were wet and cold. So I don't know if it would have worked if they would have went back and forth, me personally. Another kind of couple that I like to mention is an X-Men. We have Scott Summers slash with Jean Grey, or Jean Grey slash with Wolverine. You know, Wolverine being the bad boy, you know, she was kind of attracted to him. Yeah, Scott. And when she was with Scott, it was kind of a different relationship where, you know, he was a good boy, you know. So, what do you think of that relationship, Miss Anne?
I'm gonna have to pass on that one because I really haven't followed the X-Men that closely.
Oh, okay.
That would be one for my oldest daughter. That was her comic.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Miss Liz?
Yeah, it's two different relationships. I think she would have been better off going with Scott if he had lived. And so, the Wolverine and her, being the fact that she was that way and he was that way, I think eventually it probably would have been toxic. So I think she would have been better off with Scott if he had, if things had, done, come together better. But didn't they eventually change the timeline and everything, and they both lived?
Yeah, a little bit in the alternate
So
universe, but you know, she ended up being turned into Phoenix. So, you know, and I think when she was Phoenix, she kind of, I feel like I remember reading she developed a relationship with someone else, if I recall. Went crazy. Well, yeah, she was touched, definitely. Lady Gray?
I haven't seen that much of X Men, but from what I have seen, I think her relationship with Scott was much healthier. I think Wolverine just was too troubled to. He needed to work on himself before he was in a relationship, so to speak. But like I said, my knowledge is limited. I've only seen a little bit of it, so.
Okay, okay. Another couple that I enjoy watching is in The Matrix, the relationship between Neo and Trinity. You know, they met in the first movie, and I think there was four movies, if I recall. And you know, everything that what she did, you know, knew that the Oracle pretty much told her that she was going to marry the one, I guess what he was known for, and she pretty much got him. I guess with the newer movie, she died, I think, in the third one, and then the newer one, they eventually found themselves in the future, you know. But she did a lot to be with him. You know, she pretty much gave her life for what, you know, the Matrix, and for to be with him and what he could accomplish. Always thought that was just a really interesting love story with Neo and Trinity. Miss Anne, did you see The Matrix?
I have, but it's been quite a while. I do remember her being, very supportive, and at many times she was the one that kind of pushed him, forward into what he needed to do. And I thought she was, I really thought that was a healthy relationship. Out of
Okay.
all the ones we've talked about so far, I think theirs was probably the most balanced and the most healthy.
Okay. Okay. Miss Gray.
Um, so the one thing that always kind of bugged me, I mean, I agree with Anne. Probably they're the most healthy out of all of them, but it always kind of bugged me because she just like almost right out the gate was like, "I love you," and was she loving him for him or because the oracle told her she was supposed to?
Mm-hmm.
So that always kind of was in the back of my mind. If he hadn't been the one, would she have right out the gate been like, "Oh, I love you so much"? If you know, I don't know. It was just kind of odd to me, but
Okay.
still, at least they had the respect for each other. I think that some of the others may have lacked.
Okay. Okay. Katala.
So I haven't really watched that, so I can't really say too much on that.
Okay. Okay. First movie was good. The other ones, And Miss Liz.
I totally agree with Lady Grey. Everything she just said, I totally agree with her. That the whole reason she was all into Neo is because the Oracle told her she should be all into Neo. I think she eventually did end up having feelings for him later on, but when she, right off the bat, when you barely even said hello to each other, you know. So, and I never saw the last movie, so.
You're fine, honey. You don't have to. Alrighty. Well, I would like to ask everyone who is one of their favorite or two of their favorite couples, or even just two couples they want to talk about. Now, I see Miss Ann thinking, so I'm going to go to Katala first, then I'm going to go to Ann. Miss Katalia, who's your favorite couple or couple that you just want to talk about?
I would say Obi-Wan and Duchess Satine.
Okay. Tell us about their relationship a little bit.
I would have to pull up my notes if you give me a second.
Okay. Okay. But while you pull it, do you need time to pull up your notes? You want me to go to someone else?
No, I think I've got it right here. It's
Okay.
So they were similar in ages and personalities. They developed an instant ability, or they developed an instant affinity. She shared her dreams of a peaceful Mandalore and gave him the nickname of Ben. And their friendship turned into attraction. At some point, they were attacked by a swarm of venom mites, and Obi-Wan carried Satine to safety. And even though Obi-Wan would have eventually left the order for her, he and the Duchess set aside their feelings to return to their duties. So it was kind of a bittersweet longing between both of them, I guess.
Okay, now is this a fan theory or is it from one of the comic books? Where did you get this from?
It is from, I believe, Wikipedia.
Okay. Never knew that he had a relationship like that, but okay, interesting. It's a tragic love story. Not one, but Obi-Wan tragic love story. Okay, interesting. Maybe they'll move on with or do something with that one day. Disney, you never know. They do things that we just don't know. Anyway, and is there another couple, Catalia, you like to mention?
Not off the bat. I think the only other toxic couple I could think of would be Padme and Anakin, but we all know how that ended up. So that's a Cliff Note version of what not to do.
Yeah, why did they end up together? I don't know what she saw in him, but I think we did that already.
Yes.
What did she see in him? Who knows?
Yes.
All right, Miss Ann.
My favorite movie couple of all time has to be Buttercup and Wesley from The Princess Bride. I mean, just from the beginning, when they start talking about him being a farm boy, And when they say, and then she realized when he said, "As you wish," what he really meant was, "I love you." And she realized that she loved him too. And then,
Mhm.
you see them after he becomes the Dread Pirate Roberts in the Fire Swamp, and it's a great fairy tale love story. They are a wonderful, wonderful couple.
It is so funny. I watched that yesterday. It came on TV yesterday, and I sat there and I just watched it, and and it just put a smile on my face. You're right. That's a great couple. Do you have another one you want to mention?
Another one I like. Now they're not a functional couple
Okay.
in any way, but I love Jareth and Sarah in Labyrinth. Just because David Bowie is hot. I don't care what you did with him. The man was hot.
Cute movie, cute movie, cute movie. I think that movie was for the anniversary was going to AMC, and Mark and I thought about going to see it. We never did, but it's the songs. That one song about the babe is just hilarious.
Once
Um,
again, it's a great movie.
mhm.
It's pure fantasy, and it's adolescent fantasy, but it's still terrific.
Yes,
And
yes.
yeah, David Bowie, you can't beat it.
And he was married to Iman, so there you go.
Yeah.
Miss Liz
Well, she took some of my
was in
thunder because
March.
that's one of my favorites too. And it was just on this afternoon, and I rewatched it.
Oh, there you go.
Um, I really love that movie now that I've actually met the lady that played Princess Buttercup. When
Hmm.
I met her last year at Tidewater Comic Con, I became an instant fan even more. Uh, um, there are a couple. Let me see. Anybody ever watch the TV series Beauty and the Beast
Yes,
with Vincent?
Vincent,
I
Ron
always,
Perlman, and Linda Hamilton.
yeah, that was
Hmm.
always a wonderful love story. Even though it was,
It
you
ended
know,
suckily, but yeah.
yeah, that was kind of remind me a little bit of like Phantom of the Opera. They really couldn't.
Hmm.
I mean, they loved each other, but they lived in two different worlds. So, but I thought it was a beautiful, you know, I love that one. I also
Okay.
liked, oh God, it was just at the top of my head and now I lost it.
Okay.
um, oh, Angel. Yeah, the TV series Angel
Hmm.
and the lady you know, that was an interesting relationship. And then there was of course, the off again, on again relationship with Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Spike.
Yes. Very interesting relationship. Definitely. I
Uh,
don't know. They
and
should have, introduced that relationship, but it was very interesting. Okay.
and
Okay.
that's pretty much. I'm not going to go because we've already talked about Han and Leia. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. The most famous ones.
you know.
Okay. Okay. A few people have put a couple of things up there. Steve Rogers and Petty Carter. I was going to mention Batman and Catwoman. I think Taco Cat put that down there. Yes, that was a very interesting relationship through pretty much any time they were together, a love hate relationship. I'm going to mention my favorite, and then I'm going to end with Miss Gray. One of my favorite couples is actually from a cartoon, and it's from the Disney movie Up. Now, even though
Yes.
Ellie wasn't in that movie that often, the few minutes in the beginning and, a little bit at the end, every time I see that and I see Carl open up that book in the end, I just wanted to cry, and it's just weird for her not to be that much in the movie and just them say, I'm about to cry now. Just
Yep.
him going through that book and just seeing the things that they, did up to the time that she died. That's just beautiful that she kept all those pictures and he never knew. So one of my favorite movies and favorite couples. I am going to end with Miss Lady Gray since she came up with this great topic tonight. And I'm going to have her, Lady in the Trap, obviously. I'm going to have her mention a few of her either favorite or least favorite couples.
So keep in mind, I like bad boys. So, well, okay, let me back up. Let me get out of the way. Probably the most healthy out of the couples I kind of ship together, it would be Wesley and Buttercup. That's just, I love that, the sweetness of that. Now, as for other couples, and y'all can kick me off the podcast afterwards, I love Raylo. I know that it's not popular with a lot of people, but I love the yin and yang of Kylo and Rey together. And I like the way I do. So, y'all come at me, whatever. Another couple, and they never actually got together, and Miss Liz will probably shoot me for this one. I always thought that Draco and Hermione would have been a much better couple than Hermione and Ron, because she was so smart, and I love Ron, but he was dumb as a box of rocks. Whereas Draco is actually very smart. You read the books, he finished like second or third in his class. To me, her having anybody less than someone on her intelligence level was sad. So if they'd come from different worlds, I think they would have been I know, poor Ron. He gets so much slack, but if they'd come from different worlds, I think they'd have been a very good couple together. So those are my two toxic couples that probably should never be together, but
okay.
So
okay, nothing wrong with that.
It's fantasy, it's not reality.
True. Okay, everyone. That's pretty much what I have for tonight. I appreciate everyone listening and joining in and coming out with their comments. When Lady Gray decided to come up with this topic, and while I was, just trying to come up with some couples up here, one of the things that I did kind of would like us to talk about for our next show in 2 weeks is just movie duos, which is very similar to couples, but which we kind of did, male female, but with the duos, there are two women that are together, not necessarily in anything kinky or anything, but there's some good duos with that, male and female, not a romantic one. Jack O'Neill and Carter. Yep. That will be a good movie duo. So in 2 weeks, which I am not sure on the dates, I would like for us to discuss movie duos. If everybody can just, come up. Oh, March 7th. March 7th will be our next one. If we can just come up with some of the things or some of the people that we like to talk about there, which is, like I said, very similar to couples, but, they don't necessarily have to be man and woman. The first person that I even see is, Han and Chewie, great duo. So, I appreciate everyone listening. I will see y'all, and we will see each other hopefully in 2 weeks on March 7th. Have great times and be safe. Bye.